Witcher 3 is not only captivating for gamers due to its unique open-world gameplay, compelling story, and character development that touches the heart. One of the crucial factors contributing to the success of this world is the diverse range of monsters created by the producers. Behind them lie terrifying stories and unimaginable powers that not every player can fully uncover during gameplay. So in this video, let's explore the most impressive and frightening monsters in this game with FG Mania. Botchlings are perhaps the most gruesome creatures a Witcher is fortunate to encounter. These unborn fetuses, abandoned and left to die in their mother's wombs, denied proper burial. They resemble partially decomposed fetuses, their undeveloped bodies mixed with hatred, fear, and malevolence. These abominable creatures feed on the blood of pregnant women, driven by insatiable hunger, often causing the death of their victims. A botchling often leaves its lair at night and approaches a pregnant woman's bed, draining both her and her unborn child while she sleeps. The woman first experiences nightmares, then fever, delirium, and extreme fatigue. After a few nights, she becomes completely weakened and unable to defend herself. That's when the botchling attacks directly, plunging its long, sharp claws into the mother and feeding until both mother and child are dead. A botchling stands about 2 foot tall, but when threatened and fully sated with blood, they can change shape. It charges at its foes, biting or slashing with its sharp claws. The curse of the botchling can be lifted by turning it into a lubberkin, a benevolent spirit in a family's hearth it never had, in a place that can never be called home. The werewolf is a creature with characteristics of both a wolf and a human. When in their monstrous form, they exhibit the worst traits of both. The wolf part makes them crave violence and fresh meat, while the human part gives them cunning and calculating abilities. The transformation into a wolf is the result of a curse, and this metamorphosis is uncontrollable for those cursed. When returning to human form, they remember nothing of their actions, or they are driven to madness and take their own lives. Werewolves typically operate at night, especially during full moons. While they often hunt alone, when feeling threatened, they can summon packs of wolves for assistance. Werewolves rarely need to flee, as few opponents can stand up to them. They fight with lightning speed, sharp dagger-like claws, and heal their wounds almost instantly. Legends in Skellige tell of a man known as the Berserker. They transform into a creature resembling a bear whenever consumed by battle rage. After the transformation, they lose all self-awareness and are driven by bloodlust until they satisfy it to return to human form. However, very few believe in these blood-soaked tales. Even in Skellige, where even the most absurd legends are believed without question, this shows that the supposed berserker transformations are likely nothing more than the fantasies of the alcohol-fueled. Or perhaps they have learned to hide their abilities from the island's residents. Songs of traveling bards speak of berserkers transforming in battle indistinguishable from actual bears. Only meticulous examinations, like the shape of their tongues and newly emerged fangs, reveal their secret. Descriptions of their combat prowess indicate they feel no pain and can heal wounds almost instantly. Archospores resemble giant, hideous flowers with attributes of carnivorous plants, particularly ruthless and bloodthirsty. However, they are much more dangerous than the largest of Venus flytraps. Their grotesque appearance makes them nearly indistinguishable when hidden among other vegetation. By the time one realizes what they are, it's often too late to escape. Popular beliefs suggest they are cursed plants growing in soil fertilized with the blood of the dead. They often appear in places where massacres, blood rituals, or gruesome murders have occurred. To date, there are 4 classified types, distinguished by color. Brown is the least dangerous, while green and purple are the most perilous. The final variation is believed to be nurtured by mages and is golden in color. Their strength is equivalent to the green variant. Those are the cursed creatures. Now, let's talk about the scavengers. First, the foglet. When night falls while you're wandering in marshy areas, stay still and wait until dawn, even if you're waist deep in water with leeches clinging to your pants. Most importantly, if you see light in the fog, never, I repeat, never go towards it. The fog is always the traveler's enemy.
In the woods, it can lead you astray, and at sea, it can make ships crash into rocks.
But nothing compares to the danger of encountering creatures named foglets when you occasionally find them hidden in the mists. These beings have strong claws and arms, but what truly makes them dangerous are their superior skills in trickery, deception, and disorientation. They seldom need to attack directly, instead causing their victims to go mad or wander into swampy areas.
That's why they patiently wait for their victims to sink into these swamps.
Some stories of water hags describe them as swamp-dwelling water demons that often masquerade as old women to lure travelers into their cozy and damp lairs. In reality, only the blind or heavily intoxicated by alcohol could confuse the fetid squalor inside the water hag's nest with a worn and comfortable home and a kind-hearted old woman. They can stand about 6 foot tall with wrinkled, pockmarked skin, the color of long-dead flesh, emitting a putrid stench reminiscent of rotting garbage and rank fish. Their bony protrusions extend behind their backs with double-jointed arms, their hair tangled like seaweed, and their nails grotesque and gnarled, making werewolf claws seem a source of pride by comparison. Ghouls are incredibly hard to describe. When examining their individual parts, they resemble humans, but when viewed as a whole, they are entirely opposite to humans. Although they have arms and legs like humans, they move on all fours. Despite their strangely human-like faces, there's no hint of emotion, reason, or even a trace of sanity in them. They are driven by one thing alone, an insatiable hunger for human flesh. Next, let's talk about the Algol, essentially a more terrifying type of ghoul. Algols stand out from regular ghouls in terms of size, strength, and especially intelligence. While regular ghouls are mindless creatures incapable of simple coordination to ambush their prey, Algols and their kin possess strategic thinking ability, making them much more dangerous. Grobhags. There are few monsters with names as fitting as grobhags or water hags. It's easy to guess that these creatures look like deformed old women working near cemeteries and battlefields. Their diet consists of corpses, and they especially relish the putrid marrow they suck from human bones using their long, flexible tongues. Once they've devoured a human corpse, they move on to killing humans and burying them in cemeteries, waiting for them to decompose. Rot fiends look like decaying, skinless human bodies. People recognize them first by the horrific stench emanating from these creatures, which is why they bear this name. Devourers are a highly dangerous type of rot fiend distinguished by their insatiable appetite for human flesh. Skurvers, you'd mistake them for a pile of rotting meat until they start moving. As one person put it, Skurvers are a large family of rot fiends, grotesque and horrifying humanoid creatures, their bodies covered in decaying flesh, when more decomposed muscles surround flexible and powerful bones. Skurvers primarily feed on the rotting corpses and prefer to hunt in forsaken torture chambers, forgotten cemeteries, and ancient battlefields. They are often very aggressive, and although they prefer eating corpses, they will attack the living if encountered. So if you ever wander near any of these places at night, be extremely cautious. Skurvers usually feed underground, but if they catch the scent of a human, they'll quickly surface and attack their prey. When battling them, don't forget about the spikes growing from their bones, sharp as razors. As a Skurver nears death, gas and enzymes concentrate in its body, causing it to explode, launching these spikes at high speed, turning them into deadly shrapnel. Drowners are like reanimated corpses pulled from the depths of ponds. They have a pale blue and greenish hue, with water and mud oozing from every pore and emitting the foul odor of decay. That's why people often believe that drowners originate from the drowned bodies in stagnant waters. Lost travelers, not so sober, peasants stumbling into swamps, or children swimming too far from the shore. That's about creatures that feast on corpses. Now let's talk about the specters. Wraiths make sure to tie up all your loose ends before you die. Say your farewells to your loved ones. Write your will meticulously. Ask for forgiveness from those you've wronged. Otherwise, you'll never truly depart from this world. Paul Dicker, a healer, by the dying man. Clerics and scholars have always debated whether souls journey to another world after death, where they find eternal happiness or endure eternal suffering. But they do agree on one thing, based on what happens to certain souls. For some reason, this world still holds on to them after their bodies have drawn their last breath. They become wraiths, and from the mournful cries, we can surmise this is not a fate they desire. Wraiths are often seen at night in cemeteries, crypts, and places significant to them in life, or in places of great importance to them when alive. Abandoned houses, crumbling castles, or forgotten bridges. These tormented spirits are filled with never-ending anguish, indescribable pain, consumed by anger, and feeling wronged. They're both jealous of the living and filled with hatred toward them. Like other specters, they exist in a non-corporeal form, meaning that they're immune to physical injuries, poisons, or mundane weapons. Wraiths can become corporeal and are hard to harm in that state, except by forcing them to materialize or attacking them with moondust bombs. It's essential to note that wraiths are especially dangerous on moonless nights. Night wraiths, compared to other nocturnal creatures like Katakan and werewolves, night wraiths and their rarer kin, dusk wraiths, seem less menacing. Regardless, one might wonder what harm a gaunt, pale woman in a tattered dress could cause. Regardless, anyone curious might pay a heavy price for testing this question, whether they're saints or sinners, as these creatures attack both with equal ferocity. Witchers seldom believe in the divine, but they accept that Barghast exists and are always connected to tragic events in the past. However, according to their explanations, Barghasts are the result of a curse or the crystallization of ill intent. Patients who exhibit delusions about a ghastly full-body rash, post-filled sores, mice scurrying around them, followed by seizures that gradually subside if treated with a concoction made from blackthorn and hellebore. This was recorded in the diary of a madhouse patient in Novigrad. When a plague-stricken lesion is ravaged, it's also when a specter occasionally appears. This specter outwardly resembles a woman afflicted with rotting flesh, bare bones, and around it, a horde of rats parades. No one knows precisely whether the specter brings the plague, or if the plague attracts the specter, much like how light lures moths. But one thing can be certain. This female specter takes pleasure in inflicting pain and suffering when she hears the moans and cries of humans. Many have questioned the existence of the Plague Maiden, as some often call her. In historical accounts, this creature has been seen only twice, and both times during times of full-blown epidemics. But the name Plague Maiden, a specter resembling a woman, though the exact reason remains a mystery. Some speculate they, like other specters, arise from intense emotions accompanying a particularly gruesome death, such as death from a prolonged agonizing illness. There isn't much information on how to combat the Plague Maiden, though it's assumed they share common vulnerabilities with other monsters and specters. They are undoubtedly highly dangerous, but at least a witcher's immunity may provide some resistance to the contagion they carry. Banshees often wail and scream. If you hear their cries, you understand that tonight you will join the ranks of the deceased. According to ancient rumors, banshees are the souls of women trapped between the realm of life and death due to enduring great suffering. Their mournful cries and screams are considered ill omens foreshadowing unavoidable impending death. Although they're said not to directly harm the living, most of them often appear in the form of faint-hearted women, teary-eyed with haggard faces and emaciated bodies, resembling the dead. These creatures primarily seize innocent victims, slow travelers, careless children, and wanderers who mistakenly enter dark forests out of curiosity. However, none of these individuals need to fear the Hem. They only claim to particularly despicable individuals who have committed unspeakable crimes. For all others, they remain entirely invisible. When they truly manifest themselves to torment their victim, they appear as a towering shadow shrouded in darkness, humanoid in shape, with long, sharp claws. Han never directly impale the victims with their claws. Instead, they indirectly drain the strength of their host, causing spiritual agony. They speak in voices only their victims can hear, influencing them to commit violent and self-harming acts. Ahim will grasp the greatest fear of their victim and turn it into horrifying illusions, gradually driving their wretched host insane. Victims haunted by Ahim's influence find no peace in sleep as their mental torment escalates, experiencing nightmarish visions that feel all too real. At times, the host becomes highly agitated, uttering pleas or threats to invisible phantoms, confessing their every sin, hoping for release from relentless torment. However, these actions offer no relief whatsoever, as Ahim will never depart until a victim's mind is utterly shattered or compels the host to self-mutilate. And those are all the monsters we want to share with you in The Witcher 3's world, that we find most impressive and intriguing. Should you have any questions or anything to add, don't forget to comment below. Now, goodbye, and see you again soon.